It is Wednesday, and that means it is tour day again. Let me just pop out the tweet. That is done. And I know it's a few minutes before our usual hour, but again, it's going to be kind of a warm day, so I didn't want to wait around too long. I do want to remind that today is maintenance day, and from what I understand, it's going to be about an hour and a half long. I thought they posted one that said it was going to be about 4 hours, and then they posted one again like half an hour ago and changed it to an hour and a half. So I don't know if that means there's two separate maintenances or it's just they've changed the time duration or what, but just be aware that there is some maintenance going on today and it's going to be a little lengthy, so you can prepare accordingly. Also, since it is the month of June, the month-long Starfall event is live. If you haven't already, be sure and log into the game this week. I think you have until tomorrow, I think is the last day for the first week's like login giveaway kind of thing. And you get the pull this up here so we can. Yeah, actually, I haven't claimed it on this character yet, so. But you have the Chromium Decor set. I forget how many of each of these things you get, but it's like 2 to 4 per. I'm not sure which ones are just single only. As far as I can tell, it's you have to log in with each character to get it to register for that character. It's not like an account-wide like multi-claim kind of thing. There was some speculation that it was, and then people said no, it wasn't. So if you want to make sure you have the set on every character for your building pleasure, make sure you log in with all of them and see if you can get it claimed on each one. But it's a nice set. There's a lot of interesting pieces. As far as I am aware, it's just the one-time thing. It's not like it's an unlock. Like the Starfall firework decor, which again, that is something else you can be working toward if you haven't participated in this event before. Simply just go to your achievements, and if you go to the live events and Starfall, you'll see the Got 'em All achievement. If you unlock this 12 of 12, collect all of these things, then you unlock the firework decor from the housing vendor. Now you don't have to actually have these things like get rewarded them. You can actually, if I remember correctly when I did it, you could actually either trade with other people or get them from the auction house and acquire them that way, and it will still count towards your achievement. But if you do that, pull that up again. You get all of these, not these. I think that's part of the event, but it doesn't come as an unlock. But you get like the box, the crate lid, and all these various different decor that we see a lot of people using. There's some that looks like trash and bottle rockets and that kind of stuff. They're amazingly versatile items to use for not only large structures, but I think I prefer using them for like smaller details like furniture and food and other things. I think it was when those unlocked for us, that was the first time I messed with an Asian theme, and I had a lot of fun playing around with like food ideas like sushi and stuff, and they worked out really nicely. Now with the color shifting, it opens up even more possibility, but yeah, if you want to have access to additional decor to mess around with in your housing, this month is your month. Now, the next week of the Starfall event is going to be awarding a jukebox decor item. I think it's something we've seen in the decor shopper on Katya's KBT tool for a while now. but it's never become available live in game from what I'm aware of, and next week it will be. So if you are planning to be away from the game for a while, just be sure and log in at least once during the second week of June to be able to unlock that. And I also think there's going to be a double XP explosion event for that weekend too. So good time to level up your alts. You get access to reputation vendors and that sort of thing. So yeah, be fun to work on that as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Again, the Starfall event is month long, so just make sure you stick with it. If you haven't participated before, it's well worth it. It's probably one of the, I don't want to say lucrative as far as, it's not like you make a lot of money off of it, but I think it's like the most rewarding as far as decor wise. It's not that other events like Shades Eve and Winterfest doesn't have their fair share of decor, but this one, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to collect the things for the achievement, and you get that unlock and it's permanent year round, as opposed to the other holidays where it's only available when the vendors are up and you're limited to however much event currency you can scrounge up. So I think this one's a lot better in that regard. I wish they would do more events like this one where there was an actual unlock available, and so that people get a hold of it. Okay, so good morning to everyone, Poi, Serpent, everyone that's happened to be lurking around in the chat. It's no pressure if you don't want to chit chat as well, but I appreciate you guys joining us for the live show. Again, if you're unable to do that, we upload all of our videos to YouTube for your convenience, so that, you know, when you have a spare hour or two, you can peruse the many hundreds of videos that we have of houses that we've toured over the years. Again, I've still got the throat irritation going on. I am coughing less, and the fits are fewer and farther between, but it could happen, so my apologies in advance. I will try and not blow up your ears with a whooping cough that sounds like a dying hyena, but no promises. So we are again sticking with the single plot view visit, and we're not doing communities as of yet. See, speak of the devil. Anyway, I'm looking forward to getting back into communities because I've spotted a lot of really nice ones. It's just tougher for me to determine whether or not they're finished or whatever, because there are some plots on the communities that are really basically done, but it looks like they're still having not trouble per se, but they're still working to blend them together, the in-betweeny, the no man's land, as I like to call it, spaces between the plots still look a little rough around the edges, or maybe there's one or two plots that are kind of empty, and I'm waiting to see what they do with those parts before we go visiting. But namely right now I'm holding off because I'm trying to give as much rest to my throat as possible while still continuing with the streams as best I can. So just bear with me. I know a lot of us have been enjoying the community tours, and it's, you know, it's a bonus because we get a bunch of plots all at once. But I would just like to kind of ease back into it. Maybe before the summer is done, we can be back into that a little better. For the time being, though, we do have a single plot on Entity this week. Excuse me. We are on XX Vibes plot. It's called Vibes Playhouse. Something I stumbled across. I've been going through my old lists that I had. I call them queue lists, where I kept track of plots that I wanted to tour eventually. I've been going through a lot of them. A lot of them are set as private now. I'm still getting the error, or possibly it's just they've left the game where it says the player does not exist anymore, or the plots have moved to join a community. So I've been doing a lot of checking out places that possibly weren't on the list before, but I've stumbled across them while browsing and trying to confirm places that are still active or at least open to viewing and that are relatively complete as far as I can tell. So this is one of them. I don't know the story behind it. There's a few things that kind of look um, like they might have some kind of meaning. You know how some builders will put in like an Easter egg of some sort. Um, Maybe it's a personal story, like a little graveyard that they always put on their plots. Um, there's a few things on this particular plot that kind of seem that way, but I don't know what they might be telling the visitors. But I think overall you guys will enjoy this one, even if we don't get the meaning behind everything. So we're just going to explore the exterior first before we go into the main house. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. Firstly, you'll see that there's kind of like a clear path here, but this was like overgrown, but you can see that they're kind of indicating there's just a path there. There's some brick. Basically, it's just a pile of bricks that they've pushed down just enough where you see just a few of the bricks. Now, I have no idea what this floaty thing is doing here. I imagine maybe they just used it for the actual teleporting and decided to leave it, but it's not attached to anything. It's just kind of floating there. Again, I don't know why, but there you go. As far as the landscaping, I think there's a combination of snowy hills and you can tell that by the color of the dirt, but you can see some of it. They didn't really like go through the trouble of covering every single edge there is. Some of us are a little bit more particular about that, but you can see the white puffs indicate where the snowy hill is, and then it turns to like a brown puff as she's walking, and that to me says that it's probably excuse me, an upside down massive umbrella tree. Now there might be some also uses of the Protostar Insta Hills, but I'm not for positive. Other things like this little raised bit of ground is actually the top slash back of the head of the ruby-eyed thinker. You'll see that a little bit more in detail. They didn't bother covering up the face in other places. Let's see. Again, kind of hard to see because this is one of those plots where they wanted a kind of a close jungly feel, and so it looks very crowded with the trees. So you don't get a very, some places we can come and you can see a nice overview of the entire plot. This was a little tougher to do that with, simply because of how they've put it together. Again, thinker heads here. Lots of different mossy trees and stuff. Back down on the path. I am sorry about the packing. Not my intent to do that, but with the talking it kind of aggravates a little bit, so bear with me. I can get up the ladder here. Here's a little platform they've added. It kind of reminds me of those, I call them elf shelves. It's like a mushroom. It's actually a table, but I think it's the same principle. Some use the Orin windows to do it without all this bracket work, but this also kind of makes it look like they've added it for more support of the little overhang here. This is probably one of the the few views that you can kind of get a little feel. But again, there's just so many trees and bushes and stuff blown up that it's really hard to get a good look at anything. The house is actually right around in here, I think. Again, for the waterfall area, those are the thinker heads. You're just seeing the more of the face part than the head. Oh, sorry. Now, I don't know what all they're using for the water. I assume it's just oversized waterfalls, but in certain parts there's like added animation, so I'm really not sure if it's some of the newer waterfalls as well, or if it's simply the older ones. I love the little bridge. It's probably the first time I've seen a bridge made with the red brick, but it works out nicely, even with it being a little, you know, uh, no clean lines. But it's using the Dominion fencing, and then you can see at the bottom it's the sewer, not the sewer, cellar entrances for the little brackets. Over here we have a little makeshift wishing well or water well. The base of it, I believe, is the top of one of the Draken fireplaces. It's one of those really tall, long stoneworks. Just because of the shape of it, I think that's what it is. It's like the tip top of it. Then you've got some pillars, and then for the roofing of it is the tablet computers. Probably the first time I've seen them used in this way. But you'll see that this particular builder has used it for even the house as well for part of its roofing. Again, I think it's just regular waterfalls, and then you've got the bucket in there. And here we get our first little glimpse of the house itself. Now, it could be that I was meant to go from it the other way, but I think the main door that I went in when I came to visit before was over here. Now, you'll notice that there is a little stone pathway leading down, and this part to me looks a little incomplete, so I'm not really positive on it or if they meant to leave it like this. But you can see they've got a upside down snowy hill here making the slope to the little graveyard here. But clearly you can see the snow underneath right here. So every time I say upside down snowy hill, this is what I'm talking about. It mimics the coloring of the ground option, whatever it is. If it's sand, it'll look like sand up here. That's how a lot of builders are getting that elevation difference. The Protostar Insta Hills behave the same way, except they're curved, so they lend themselves a little better to sloping hills and stuff. But again, I'm not sure if that was meant to be left like that, but lends itself well to showing people when I say upside down snowy hill, I literally mean an upside down snowy hill. A lot of the spring flowers that you see, that's from the spring decor pack. I think they've got some of the vines and such out here and about as well. I'm not sure if there's a way to get up top of the waterfall area. I didn't notice the way of getting up there. I think it's just meant to be like a rock kind of formation there. Excuse me. We'll be talking more about the house part shortly. I just want to get a good little overview of the outside first. And the Fauna little garden, we'll skip that for now. Some of these plants have some weird collision on them, so it makes it a little weird. If you're wondering about these, they're kind of similar to the Thinkerheads in that they have that mossy bits with the shrooms on top. This is a ski hut, I think. I don't know if it's easier to come by than the actual Thinkerhead. The Thinkerhead is crafted, so I would think you have access to that more. That's probably why it's used more frequently than the other. Plus the other has stone, so if you want to switch between the stone and the mossy green, you have that option as well. Over here we have a little hammock, and then this little sword in the stone kind of thing. Again, I don't know if this really means something specific. Maybe it's in relation to the little myth fairy tale stuff. I have no idea, but there it is. And again, I'm not sure what water is being used here because one acts like it's actually ebbing a little bit. So I don't know if that's, what that is. It's one of the tanks and it's just oversized so you can't tell, and it's like moving. And that's causing the water to go up and down. I really don't know. Part of it just looks like waterfalls, so kind of a tough call. Again, if you dunk the camera, you can see it's paper thin. And then if we come up around here, this is of course leading back to the main entrance where we started. So we've done a nice little roundabout here. Again, most of landscaping is those thinkerheads, like this is the chin of the one and the head of another and the top of another. A lot of folks that are doing the like jungle type builds or looking for like Maddie's idyllic little cottage kind of thing, they're great for landscaping. Oops. Again, the fencing and the archways and the vines, those all come from the spring decor pack. Now, there are the picket fences and stuff that you can craft. They're just not as cleanly made. They're a little bit more rickety. The slats are bent and crooked and just not as neat. And of course, you don't get the vines on them as well. Most of the flower pots are, I think it's the Drake and Cauldron, and they've just sunk it down so most of the time you don't see the cauldron part, the bulbous bit there. And then of course this one has one of the fountains inside. Now for the house itself, and it's a little tough to get up close and personal with it, but if I can get a good shot here. Oh, right this way. It's a snack pack of like just about, I don't know what all, I'm not even sure if I can name everything. There's like the, I think it's the ornate pillar. It's usually, it looks like a gold silver kind of a deal, and then on the tippy top it's got these little plant bits, and they're kind of making it look like it's ivy, I think, growing off the house. They've accentuated it with the mossy overgrowth. I think in some places the regular overgrowth. You can see there's fencing that's being used. I don't know if it's the rusty one or a different one. There's the tablet computers, again, for the roofing. You see that in several different places. And we'll get a closer look at the roofing later. Here's fencing again with the ironworks. It's like sandwiched, and it makes it look like there's like barred windows or whatever. I can squeeze in here. It looks like Draken walls. You see the edging here, and then it's just slanted up. These almost kind of resemble like bones, but again, it's just part of that ornate um pillar, and they've just got it kind of crisscrossed like so, so that it brackets the roof and lays flat against the main part of the roof. You can see they've slanted the fence sideways as well to get some of that stonework. And some of it's the rusty one, and some of it I think is the Dominion version. Go back around this way. So see here, there's multiple layers of that fence. It's just one on top of the other to get this striation going. Even here, it's slanted and letting the ironworks be shown, again, to kind of make it look like it's framed up windows. Again, a lot of the fencing, some of these pillars I think come from possibly it's just multiples of those fencings layered in and uh, spaced just right so that it looks like pillars, or it could be part of that Dominion builder set. I'm not really positive on that. To me, it looks like multiples of the fencing, but since there's not the wire works everywhere, it also could be just the individual pillars. Now, I think there's a set of the rusty fences and stuff that you can actually get from the vendor directly, but then I think there's another one that I assume is also accessible in Ilium, but I'm for certain that there's the pillars, I think, that you get from Thade. I don't remember what vendor it was exactly. I think it's the one where they have like the court system set up, where every now and then if you walk by, there's like somebody getting judged for some kind of wrongdoing that they did. And there's a vendor there, which I think is like the Thade reputation or whatever. You can see there's a little bit of like 2x4 trim for some of the windows. But again, yeah, I think it's a lot of it is mostly the fencing and the Draken walls with just those pillars as accents and such. Back around this way. Again, you can see the fencing, the pillars, the tablets, these pillars. It's a nice job. I think the only time we saw something similar was a Dominion kind of mansion thing set up, and this is more of a cottage feel to me. Again, just difficult to get a good shot of the house from a distance, just because of how they've placed the trees and stuff around the outside. Let's go. Oh, wait, one more thing I need to check out here. There is this little pool here at the bottom of the waterfall. And you find like a little quiet nook where you could come and read, chat with a friend. But I think this is the most notable part of it. We've seen in the past where folks have tried to simulate waterfalls. Now, with the new decor for the waterfalls, that's taken care of because it already comes with the animation of it like pouring into the base, and it also comes with the mist that comes out of it and all that kind of stuff, and it looks fantastic. But not everybody wants to spend their bits or their real money on the cash shop version. They want to stick with the old version, which is what these are. But they find clever ways of kind of simulating the water landing on the surface of the pool at the bottom. And this is probably one of the better examples. Now, in others we've seen where they use the buoyant blue crystal. It has a kind of misty, like um, will-o-wisp little bits coming out. And if you can sink it down far enough where the crystal itself doesn't show, it lends itself pretty well to that. There's a couple of other items that work similarly. Some have used like um, the what's it called? The blue flare. It's got some smoky effects. If you can sink it down far enough and make it big enough, puffs of smoke look like the water steaming up, which is nice. But this is using those haunted items from Shades Eve, the haunted decor. It sticks with like the head, with the wig lady and the Jack Shade's head on it. Um, Basically just haunted items. Now you can cleanse these items and have the animation go away, but eventually it'll respawn. Um, but it looks like they've got about 4 of them here, and it works really well. It's got a nice animation, it's the right color, and it just, you know, you maybe not get large billowing clouds of the mist, but it's enough of an illusion that I think it's a fun idea. It's another alternative for those that are looking for clever ways to kind of simulate certain effects when they can't get access to the real thing. So I just wanted to make sure and point that out. There's also access to the bunker house over here somewhere. Where is that? I think it's down here. Now again, this is probably one of those things that wasn't really meant to be seen, but if you come out, there's like, you see all the underside of a lot of this stuff. I don't know if this is meant to be viewed or not. It looks like it possibly is, because they've got like these little treasure bits behind here, and then they've got the little lop shrine here with the rainbow and stuff. It's just a little added extra. Again, kind of a strange thing, but it does give access to the bunker house. Just make sure there's nothing over here. Now there's a little floppy spot here as well. They very easily could have just boxed this up a little differently down below so that you don't have all these little runoff locations, but they opted to throw in these little Easter eggs. Again, sometimes it pays to kind of check it out. The main thing you want to visit for sure is the bunker house down here. Now, the little statue here is kind of a hint as to what to expect, but I think you guys will like it. Now, you do notice that it kind of feels a little weird, because if your camera is turned just right, it looks like you're underneath the snow. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to hop up to get yourself to pop up normal, and then it's like they meant it to be. Again, it's one of those things when you're covering up the entrance, when you pop in and pop out, it might not go exactly as you plan, but you get the general idea. It's supposed to be a little bit of a slope of snow in here. A lot of the Arctera formations, these are lovely items. It's one of the ones that if you color shift it to the black and white, it looks like pitch black. Probably the most true black item you can get. A lot of this is showing off their Arctera stuff. Again, it's one of those things that, you know, as a player, you go through all of these different zones, you participate in these events, and you collect a lot of decor that you just might not have a unique way of showing off. And this is one of those ways of kind of sneaking in a wintry room or wintry decor into a more or less a springy type of plot. Up above, it's all lush green and flowers and vines and stuff. And down here, it's like this little cold bit of space. For the igloo-ish type structure over here, they're using the snow blocks and the archways and such. But again, most of this decor in here is from the Arctera zone. You see a lot of the Osun bits, the glaciers, the snow shrooms, the candles even, the lantern. All of this is from that location. And they've just found a fun way of kind of putting it together. So it's kind of like this underground, untouched, Osuni, so frosty area. And the person, I guess, that's discovered this has carved themselves out a little house here. And this is probably the cutest little thing. How cozy is this? It's like this little igloo, and they've just, you wonder how they've kept it so that it doesn't melt with all the light that's in here, but anyway. Things to note, here's the kitchen. They've made a little cake just using layered purple pillows, tossing on the ritual candle circle. The tables, you're just mostly seeing the legs pushed down inside. The carpet is a combination of this table here for this part. It's the same item. The tree table, I think. And then this is the tribal mat. It comes from the Far Side or Far Trader fab kit, I think. Got the little lot with igloo in it. It comes in two versions, the flat and the rounded one. Part of the cabinetry is just the Oran table or desk. This is Oran dressers. Here's those pillars that they're using for the roof on the exterior of the house. This is what it looks like a little bit closer with that little nubbin at the bottom as well. Pillars for the faucet, a flat metal table for the back, and then a dome, a hollow dome for the sink part. This, to make it look like, I guess it's like soap or something. It's just a bowl with the bottom of one of the bottles. You see the top sticking out here, which they probably don't want me to show, but anyway. That's what you get for using a super thin surface and trying to hide something in there. You're going to have somebody snooping like me go, hey, it's showing down there. The shelving. This is actually, I think it's the clock piece. That's what this metal part looks like. And then they've topped it. It's like two of the clocks. And then they've topped it with 2x4s to make it look like a nice old ornate wooden shelf. For the cookies, it's basically just a plate full of the tabletops. It's this table here, but they've just shrunk it down. And it looks like, to me, it looks reminiscent of like peanut butter cookies where you got the fork lines on it. You can kind of see them sticking out here. Again, I know I'm mean for showing that, but it's just so people can understand what I mean by where it's pushed down. You actually have those parts to worry about hiding them. The little bowl of fruit, it's actually the bowl of fruit, and then they've covered it or blinged it out with curved glass to make it look like a more of a decorative bowl. The table and chairs. This is probably the cutest little set. It's made from the picket fence pillars, the tribal mats for the little cushion backing, and then of course the green pillows for the actual seat. The table is also some of those pillars, but then it's the wood backing. Now this is, I think it's the tree portrait or something. One of those. I can't remember exactly which. But yeah, a lot of people love it because of the texture on it, the wood texture. A lot of people use it for their cabinetry. I've seen some use it for actual walls and floors and such, because it just has more interesting look than our usual floors and everything. But what an adorable little table and chair set. Now notice they're using the travel mats not just for the backing of the chairs, but also the placemats on the table, and then again it's for the floor here. So the same item used in various ways, just goes to show how versatile a lot of these decor pieces are. Let's see, what's next? This would be this little table and chair set. I guess it's more of a day bed than a chair, maybe. But it looks to be the gate, some of the rolled tribal mats for the backing, assorted pillows, and then one of the kitchen towels. You can see a little bit of it popping out here, but you know, it's just a little thing. Again, with the pillars that they use for the kitchen set. The table here, instead of using the wood that they've got for the dining table, they've just used 2x4s for the coffee table. And then here they're using pillars for the arms. It looks like a mattress for the main cushion part, and then 2x4s to just kind of box it in a little bit. And then here I thought this was clever. It's multiples of the Exile bookcase. And they've just kind of meshed them in so that you can see the curve of the one. It's like the one is like the shape here, and then you can see how it's just overlaid. But they've done it in a way that looks like it's a single piece and that it's meant to be this way, and just created multiple boxes for their display of goodies. Come on. And this, I guess, is the bedroom. Looks like multiple beds. Really cozy. There's even one up here. Yeah, how cute is that? Just a small space that they've allotted, but they've packed so much detail into it. And it's not crowded. There's some that are purposefully crowded, like some that try to do like the Granite style homes, kind of like Thermok Village, I think, where it's like a lot of just cluttery, but not in a horrible way. And this isn't that. But it looks lived in. That's probably the biggest thing. So out we go. So that was the bunker house. Now, to get back up, you may have to do some fun jumping. And let's go back. Again, I don't know if this is considered the back or the front, but this is the way I went in before. So, hey Aurora, good morning. Okay, so interior. We're getting into the interior. You can see that you still see the pillars. I've got it using as part of the framework for the windows here. You can also see there's the charming bars for the arches of the door and the windows. For some of the kind of like wallpaper effect, it's basically the wall hangings. You know, they don't even mind that the picture is sideways in certain places. We've seen a few people use it, and a lot of times they leave out the picture of the guy. They just use this part here. This part here is the actual end of it. It's been overlapped there. Chua pillars for a lot of the supports of the house. You can see that they've kind of kept it Dominion-y almost with the light fixture. It's a combination of the Dominion one and the 4-in-1 smushed it together. They look great together, but a lot of us probably normally wouldn't think about combining the two. Here again, they're using the curved glass to dress up this little votive candle. Basically the Macari table with the curved glass and then the candle in the center. They've also fashioned a frame for the portrait. It's just a portrait with a piece of wood stuck behind, but you get the idea that it's supposed to be like a propped up frame. I think is a cute, it's a nice little touch. Over here we have the den slash study library kind of room. You've got the bookshelves. Now these are just the standard bookshelves. They're already pre-filled. Some will go through the trouble of framing them up with the 2x4. So this one's kind of left it just as it is, but they've stacked it in a way so that it looks like nice shelving. They've even put in a larger one to replicate the topping here, which is a nice touch. And then the shelf in here is just more of those portraits. Can't tell if you can see the portrait there, the like landscape or something, the tree, as shelves, and then added the glass and 2x4s to make it look like a little glass case. The desk and chair. The chair is a Hugel portrait for the backing, and then they've just put in the cushion to kind of cover the Hugel up. The base of it, I think these are some taurine parts. I don't know if it's part of a forge thing or some other weird little decoration masky thing, but they've made it into the legs and just left the cushion as the base. Some will box it in with other things, but this works just as well. Now the desk is, I believe it's an upside down display case. It's one of those that has like the skull and the pearl and the parchment, or another one is like 3 different items. Because you can see the feet of it here. And then it's been topped with one of those portraits. It's either the Legionnaire or that lady with the bald head kind of thing. And then I guess this is the backside of a travel poster. It's just sunk in just enough to cover the portrait and give it a nice lady finish. The same kind of theme for the furniture is carried on throughout. So you have a little couch and pair of seats. This time the coffee table is made up of another portrait, but it's been flipped over, so you just see the metal backing. And then capped with the charming bars. I keep wanting to say fancy. Can't get that out of my head. Using it as the footing for the table, which I think is clever. And then of course the chairs are similar, but they've changed the backing to a green to better match half of the couch. You got the Hugel portraits here for the arms and the decoration on the back. This is the heart-themed coffee tables, a pair of them, and then just having the portrait on top of that to get that gold trim, and then capped it with the pillows. Very cute little setup there. And then last over here is the little, I don't know what you call it, some kind of a love seat lounger kind of thing. Again, Hugel portraits, yellow pillows, the heart themed table, 2 of those. Same setup here, just been mirrored as it was on this side. And then you have the little record player, which I think is adorable as ever. These are upside down display cases. Here are the ornate pillars. That's the same thing they're using for the roof on the outside. Travel posters here. You've got the Dominion bench, and I think it's one of the, not sure what this is, this part here. Then it's got the metal edge 2x4s. One of the books, I don't know if it's the grimoire one or a different one, but it's just oversized. They've covered up the ends so you don't see the pages. The little carousel thing or whatever it's called, the tires, I think they've got multiples of them to make it look like the grooves of a record, and just sandwich them in together. And then I think this is one of the drilling items to make it look like the needle. How cute is that? We've seen a few other similar things. We've seen a lot of jukeboxes, phonograph. I think it was Maddie that made one of those with the little fluted speaker thing and everything. It was really cute. I love little things like this. Even if the rest of the house is pretty much standalone, they can throw in a nice little custom piece like this. That draws my attention. Okay, last but not least, the fireplace. Nice and shiny, looks like marble. I want to say that most of this shiny part here for the base of the mantle or whatever is the Dominion shelf. This one is one of the tricky ones where if it's in your inventory, it's called the Dominion shelf, and then if you put it into the crate, in the crate listing, it's called the Imperium shelf or Imperial shelf, or it's vice versa. It's maybe the Imperium shelf while it's in the inventory, and then it switches to Dominion shelf once you crate it. I don't remember which way it goes, but I know it has two different names depending on where it is. So just if you happen to get that item and then you put it in your crate and you can't find it, that might be why, because you're looking for it under a different name. But you can see the ends of it here, and they've kind of dressed it up to make it look like it's engraved, I think, which I think is a really clever use for this. But if you can see, they've got like some of the orange fencing to make it look like vines. This here is just the ends of the ones going across this way, but you can see this like little flower or star bit. I think those are the Dominion bookshelves, and they've just got them small and lined up and then pushed in flat to make that flower. And again, additional vines here. And then they've done it similarly on this side, just a little different design with the orange fencing. And then in the middle, they've got some of the, oh, what's it called? The stained glass windows. And then this one is a flower made with the, I think it's the Datascape window. Now, it could be that they had intended to add in more and just ran out of space because, again, remember, this is all on the exterior. The decor count, it might be 2,500, but with dealing with landscaping and the creation of the house and all the details that go in the house, that eats it up really fast. So as much as people would like to add additional detail and more and more and more, it's not something that we can just go hog wild with. The mantle itself and then the sides are the tablet computers. Then they've made themselves these little candelabra thingies. They're candle holders. I'm not sure what this part is here, honestly. But this part here is pillars that have been like either 2 or 3 of them together, and they've been twisted on each other to make the more rounded column, and then a plate for the top of it. The chimney part is just the cellar entrance. Same way with here, that's cellar entrance as well. And then the marbled bottom base where the fire is, That's the green, I think it's the wine bottles. Oh, is it the fancy bar? Let me see if I can get a better. My camera doesn't want to stay. Yeah, it could be the not fancy, charming bar. It looks like maybe two of them stuck together. Good call on that. Uh, Now there is a special little hidey hole entrance here, but we'll come to it from a different direction. Again, with the chandeliers, they've combined to, it's the Dominion version with the heart themed table lamp tacked on to just dress it up a little bit. A really cozy little space there. Here's the dining room. Now, this little table here is just that fountain that we saw outside. It's just upside down. What a clever idea. You know, just simply just turning it over, you make it completely different. Looks a little broken, but hey, there you go. Nice place to put a lamp or a plant or something along those lines. But the dining table is probably the more prominent thing in this space right here. You've got the actual red cushion bar stools, and then they've tacked on a couple of, well, I think it's the portrait. It usually has, I think it's a lady's face in it, and it's actually upside down. I think the wing part goes at the top, but they wanted it to kind of be the attachment to the stool. And then they've put in one of those round rugs to hide the lady's face. And that turns into this nice, lovely little backing for the chair. The table, again, is similar to the one in the other room, or I guess it'd be in the igloo space down below. The tree portrait or whatever. They're also using, for the leggings down here, it looks like part of the clock bracketry, the hanging clock. Some Macari pillars, and then some travel posters down at the very bottom there. For the table, the place settings, it's the charming bars, regular plate inside, and then the exile rugs. And you see those candle holders again. Here again, they've got the window using the archways and the pillars. Here you can see they actually put a vase of flowers on this one. For the overlook or balcony or whatever you want to call it, they're using the sparking wires. Granted, they have to deal with it sparking this way. Maybe they could have gotten away with not having it spark like that by flipping it so that the spark is on the ends inside the walls, but they've opted to do it this way. Just keep in mind that there's no collision to this particular item, so in theory, you would hope that whoever's walking here wouldn't walk off it, but especially in these spaces on the end, someone could just walk right off and not be blocked. The rest of it is the heart-themed coffee tables again. Let's see, for the stairs, 2x4s for the trimming, and then those wall hangings again for the actual steps. So they've got like one piece here, one piece for this part, another piece, another piece. That's a lot of detail for the seating, for the stairway. But it makes it look like a rugged kind of staircase, very fancy. Again, they've got the sparking wires for part of the railing and then the ornate pillars for the rest of it. For below, I guess to solidify it, because I'm not sure if these are like you pass through them or what, but they're using the tablet computers. You can see that a little better here. I just bracketed it with the hanging wall hangings there. Okay, let's go to this side before we go upstairs. We're entering the kitchen area. Again, it's probably one of my favorite rooms in the whole bits of houses. You've got these little lantern thingies that they've created. It looks like an item that came in the game, but it's not. It's the hanging wall clock bracket part. They've got a pillar up top to finish it off. They've got a hanging chain. They've got the hanging exile lamp. I'm not sure if that's the exact name for it, but it's something along those lines. And then they've capped it with a filled glass of beer, like a shot glass or something. It tones down that bright light, as far as not the light that it gives off, but the coloring of looking at it. They've made a little, what do you call these? An ottoman? Basically the upside down display cases. It's a pair of them. And then with the pillow on top makes a little footstool. Over here, the same idea is used, just to make this extended little breakfast nook area kind of thing. The display cases for the base. The pillows on top, and then another set of pillows on the back. The table is an upside down case with travel posters on top, using little mini travel posters as cards, or a little card game here. Now the wall for the tiling, I think it's this stove here, and they've just enlarged it so that it covers a good portion of the wall itself without showing the stove part. You can see the tiling here. And again, they've just oversized it to bring it out up here. Just again, everybody's always looking for interesting ways to make different kinds of walling, and that's what you get. So you've got a combination of granite wall, Draken pillars, the Dominion fencing. You've got the brick piles, that stove part. You've got for this little countertop area, it's the cellar entrances. Instead of using the tables, they're using them to look like stools. The little wine rack is just a lot of 2x4s made into like this little lattice kind of design. We've seen a number of those and always looks lovely. Here again, they're using that curved glass for the ornate little decorative bowl, and then a crisscross of the Dominion benches. This is Vibe's Playhouse XX5 on Entity NA. It's a player-made house. You can come to housing and purchase prefab homes. Basically, it's just the shell of it, the outside, and like when you go into the inside, it's like the walls and stuff. And you furnish it yourself. But this one is a completely player-made house. They built it from scratch, which is, you know, what we're here for, is all the custom work. Here's another plate of those cookies, and this time they've added the smoky effect. It's one of the either toxic barrels or the cauldrons. Again, just a reminder, those particular items, the smoke trail is quite long. Even if you shrink it down pretty small, it goes up pretty high. So if you have a second floor or more above whatever the smoke is, just be aware that it'll bleed through, and you'll have to either ignore that it's smoking to the floor into another room, or come up with a way to blend it in some way. A lot of times folks will have something like this on one floor, and then up above they'll have like a fireplace or something to kind of hide the fact that the smoke is coming from somewhere else. Some will just add in walls to kind of block it out so you can't see those areas, and others simply just let it be, and that's quite all right too. Again, the brick pile for most of the fireplace here, and of course the cellar entrances for all of the other brickwork. Cellar entrance, the kitchen sink comes as is. Again, you can get that from the Boxing Gym Fab Kit if you can complete it successfully. I don't know if it's a guaranteed drop, but it's at least a chance of getting that as a drop if you complete the challenge. I've never been able to do it. I am horrible at that challenge. I've perfected the first 4 competitors, but after that, I'm not coordinated enough to beat the rest of the mobs. So, but if you're looking for additional towels or whatever, for either to use as actual towels or other kinds of fabric bits that you're looking for, like folded shirts and stuff, to pretend that they're folded shirts or whatever, the towels actually come from the 4th competitor. So if you can beat the 4th one, you get like a 50-50 chance it's either going to be the lop towel or the stripe towel. And if you just want to farm those, once you get awarded the towel, and as the next competitor pop up, just walk away from the challenge until it fails, then go back and restart it. Kind of a cheap way of doing it, but you know, if you're aiming to it, you still have to work for it. It takes a few minutes to get through the first 4 competitors, but you know, if you're like me and I'm certain that you're not going to be able to get through the rest of it, just farm the towels. They're really good for a lot of things. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. The little bit above, that's that Hugel portrait again. Those shelves, again, they've custom made these. It's those clock brackets with the 2x4s. We have plenty of shelves that they could have chosen, but they've opted to build it from scratch. So I appreciate the extra effort thrown in there. Again, the light fixtures are all those beer glasses, the hanging light or lantern, and then the hanging wire or cable, hanging chain. There we go. Do we know anyone with that challenge on their plot? Not off the top of my head, unfortunately. I think there used to be a listing somewhere in the housing forum, but since the merger or the changeover of that, I don't know how easy it is to be able to find that. Because you can't Google it now, because the Google usually has the old links and to the old forum. It doesn't work anymore. So you have to try with the search tool. If I come across any, I'll message you, Aurora, and see if I can find you one. But I can't think of anyone in particular off the top of my head. Trying to think if there's, yeah, none of them come to mind. I know we've seen plenty of them, because there's usually at least a few that like to use it as kind of like a fight club thing. But yeah, just nothing comes to mind at the top of my head. Here's that cake again. It's just multiples of the cushion. Now, a lot of them like to use the snow blocks, because then you can kind of make it look like there's pieces missing, depending on how you put them together. With the color shifting, and you can even get in like nice little layers, like if you want to have a triple layer cake or stuff, make it look like there's a fruit layer and there's a frosting layer and such. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to make desserts, and we won't get into all of them because we've shown quite a few in the past. But if you're looking for some ideas, I would suggest searching up like some of the older videos that maybe are around Thanksgiving time, Christmas time, Easter time. Those are probably the big holiday ones. Valentine's probably also has a few. But if you look back and during those months of our video years, you'll probably find some good videos of that where we've made cookies and cakes and um, spaghetti and pizza and sushi and uh, nachos. We've got, there's a few places where we've got like snacks and things for like stadium use. Um, for Thanksgiving, I made a turkey feast, for example. We've got a lot of pies. I've even got a bakery where we've got like eclairs and cookies and um, cinnamon rolls, and it's just there's really no limit to it. Just whatever you can think of, you can probably put together. The rest of the kitchen is again the stove, um, the cellar entrances. There's some of the brick 2x4s, and then the cabinets themselves are benches for the handles, and then the tops of the Orin desk. Now, if you're trying to take, say you're wanting to take a screenshot, if you're close enough, it'll light up one of these interactables. Again, if you just turn yourself away from it and then rotate the camera back around, you can get a nice clean picture without that green stuff lighting up. For the refrigerator, it's just flat metal tables with pillars for the handles. Over here we have a little dining cart, tea cart. It's the blue files, or not blue files, the tall files. They happen to be blue. A lot of people like to use this for the balls for like a billiard set. Marbles, a lot of different things, but it happens to be the wheels for this cart. The ornate pillars, again, that they're using for the roofing on outside, and some of the other stuff like here, they're using it as the leggings for this. Chua pillars for the little bracketry up top, and then for the main part of it, for the little shelves, it's the travel posters. You see the front face. Now, if someone we have some, including myself, that would be kind of determined to cover this up so that if someone did like I just did, they wouldn't see the picture. It's really not necessary. I mean, people can get kind of picky about that, but sometimes being able to show people, yes, this is a travel poster, and show others how that actually works, how we're making it look like something else by just flipping it over so you just see the back. But some will actually add a second one in, flip it over the other way, and push it down just enough to hide the picture. Now, if you're going to have it a little higher up, perhaps, that might make more sense, but it's not necessary in this instance. The little tea set, I think, comes from the spring decor pack, if I remember rightly. Comes with all of the saucers, the cups, the tea, the teapot, and the sugar pot. This here, again, is that charming bar. Just a little added decoration. What's the matter? Butters, mewling. And then this is that other entrance to the little garden that we visited earlier. It's gotten dark out here as well. Was that dark before? Didn't notice. Okay, so I think that's all of the downstairs. Dining. Living room. Yeah, okay, so now we're ready to go upstairs. Again, very fancy with the double stairway here. The backs of the tablet computer. Again. But let me show how you can just pass. See how I'm just kind of like right. Look at that. I'm like floating in the space there. That's just really weird. even the legs are far enough apart where I could walk right through it. It's strange that I haven't fallen, but if you don't want that, there's probably other things that you can use. They could have gone with 2x4s or pillars. They just opted to use the sparking wires. But yeah, it's one of those items that would be great if it was solid, because a lot of people like to use them for prison bars and things, and it just doesn't quite work the way they expect because, again, there's no collision there. It's the same way with the hanging chains. Now the newer ones, the ones, I think it's the Osun hanging chain, it's got the little bracket on the end, that one is actually solid. You can bump up against that and it gets stopped. But the regular hanging chain, you pass right through it. Now, in other ways, it's a fantastic kind of glitchy thing to it, because like if you lay multiples of these across and pretend like maybe it's part of a wall, especially if you carry that design over elsewhere, you can make nice little hidden passages. For the hanging chains, they make great beaded curtain kind of features if you're looking for something to kind of block a door but still have it visible and noticeable. They work really great that way. So okay, up the stairs we go. Up above, they're using the decking railing for that. Here we come to, I would assume this is like the master bedroom, I guess. Over here we have, again, it's those chairs, just a little better view of how they've put it together. Hugel portrait, pillow smooshed in so you don't see the Hugel, or most of it. You can see it looks like either the feet or the ears sticking out. Pillow, and then those taurine thingies. I don't know what they're called. And I think this is the leftover bauble from down below. I think. I don't think that's meant to be there. For the little window here, they're using the, it's these dressers. They've just flipped it over so it makes it look like a little place where you could come and sit, put some pillows, have a book, read it while you're reading by the moonlight kind of thing. Over here, they're making it look like the trunk in front of the bed. The bed itself is, again, reminiscent of all the furniture that we've seen so far. It's the portrait, either the luminari, fancy lady, who knows what else. There's several of them, but they all have that golden frame. They're using that topped with the striped towels, using those taurine bits for the legs again, and then multiple Hugel portraits with pillows stuffed in to make it look all cushiony and fancy. The fireplace is the grimoires, the books, strategically placed so that it looks like a nice little pattern. Tablet computer for some of it. I think there's a travel poster or something in other parts. I think that's a pillar there. Tablet computer for the base. And then for the little symbol up top, I think, again, it's just part of the book. They've managed to sandwich it in a way that it looks like a design for the chimney part. Yeah, what that is. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Again, similar little daybed thing and chair from earlier. Desk and chair again, but using the taurine bits for the leggings. Oops. Okay, I'm going to get stuck on the door. Hold on. Let me go this way. I guess this is supposed to be their armory. closet, clothes, something or other. This looks like a little place for their herbology, I guess. This is the portable planter, and then they've just added some plants in. Some of these are actually from the spring decor pack, so they come as is like that. I like these planters. It's the ones that usually are hung up and made to look like herb bits for the kitchen, and they just laid them down. Yeah, see, here's that wood that you're seeing for this entire cabinet, all this pre-portrait landscape or whatever you want to call it. You can actually see the picture there. Yeah, a lot of people love this texture. Yes, there's a little bit of blinkiness going on. This you get that from having similar items occupying the same space. The way you can avoid that is like offset it by like 0.01, but sometimes it leaves like a little bit of a lip or a gap or something, and most builders don't like that. So up to you on how you want to address it. I usually offset it though, because the flashing irritates me more than the little offset. This piece here, I think it's called the frost spore. If you flip it over, the bottom is blue. It's solid and opaque, but if you enlarge it big enough, like use it for a pond or even bigger to like do kind of like a lake kind of thing, it actually moves up and down a little bit. So it makes it look like the water is coming in and going out, and it gives a nice little illusion that it's a body of water. So if you're looking for something, especially if you've got like a small lake and you want to have like a boat, then the thing rises and it makes it look like the boat is floating even though it's not actually moving or anything, which is kind of fun. There was one Kai something I think that made a Asian themed area, and they used this for a lot of the waterworks there. It looked good. Again, it's solid, so your character walks on top of it. It doesn't sink down like some of the other water type items that we used, but it still looked really nice. Yeah, I think this is the little outdoor area. Just some of the Macari chairs and the table, but this gives you a view of the little tower kind of thing that's on the house. There's no glass, so I'm able to kind of zoom out and you can see the pillars and the fencing and everything. And you can even jump. This is where you can get to a little better view of the roofing and how it's put together. You can see the pillars, how they're laid in on top of the floors or the walls. And then the not the travel posters, the tablet computers. You see how this kind of looks like a spine kind of thing set up? It's kind of creepy, but. And then this part of the roof thing resembles the little wishing well. It's hollow in the top and you can fall right through. I found that out the hard way. Here's the main roof tiled up with those I keep calling it travel posters, the tablet computers. Got the fencing lined up right across the top. Let's see, get over. There we go. So again, just tiled up like an actual roof, a little bit of a lip for each one. Some might be tempted to lay that perfectly against the other, but it looks better with it overlapped like this. And then again, how the pillars are kind of crisscrossed at the top and then laid against the walls there to make that roofing bit. And even here, how this is with the pillars crisscrossed. Add a little extra greenery to it. Ooh, fall. Stuck in the bones. This part here, I think it's just some of those reinforced walls. Bar is pretty straightforward. There's nothing fancy about that. Here they've gone through the trouble of decorating the floors a little bit. This is a combination of the cellar entrances and then I think it's called the Fancy Dominion Dresser. It's just either the sides, I think it's the sides and not the top, because I think the top has like really deep ridged bumpies on it. And I think these are the sides, and they've just made a little pattern. So as you walk through here, your camera might bump a little bit, especially if you're walking, but you can see how it's raised, and you know, there's a little bit of a curved shape to it. The tub is a combination of the charming bars for this part here and this part here, like a couple of them. Then you've got those taurine bits for the legs along the side to kind of fill in the gap between the bars. You've got pillars, Cassian version, and then a couple of plates for the bottom. And I love the toilet. It's just a toilet paper roll with a plate for the lid. Two pieces, but you know what it is. I think it's hilarious because some of us go through so much trouble to add like the piping and the flusher and the toilet paper rack and everything. And this is just two pieces, and there's like no question what it's supposed to be. But I find that hilarious. And then, of course, the stove for that pattern back and everything. Cracks me up. I don't know, as my version of toilet humor, I guess. The sink, notice that they've actually got it where it's like cut out. It's just a clever placing of the items to open that little gap. I've used it with travel posters, but they've managed to do it with the cellar entrances nicely. That you've got it like a little, I don't know what you call that, a little bit of inset there. Now, I don't know what they're using for the sides. I think part of it is travel posters. It looks hollow down below because you can like see the floor. And then this part looks like some kind of lighting, but I'm not really sure. But the faucet itself is pillars. It looks like a dome, the tall files, and then a waterfall thrown in. Here again, they're using that pot stove again. And then for the mirror, it's just a flat metal table. Some use windows. I've seen a few use portraits with like a plate or something inset inside. For the shower part, you've got the Chua pillars making the steps and the brackets here. Again, it's that stove for that tiling. They really have gone crazy with that, both in the kitchen and here. And then for the shower itself, it's that blue flare. Now, the flare itself is really bright. It's one of those things, if you want to try and hide it inside something, the light's probably going to show through anyway, unless you've got it really sunk down deep. Also, the smoke kind of has a mind of its own, so sometimes it'll go outside the glass, even if you don't want it to, like right there. But again, if that's the item you're using, that's just one of the things that you have to contend with. You don't have any control over it. If you're looking for something a little bit more stationary, some will use the waterfalls. Some just have the spout on it and they don't have no water or anything coming out, as if it's turned off. But yeah, there you go. Another little bedroom. Again, um, loving the Hugel portraits. A lot of people like that for extra detailing. Aurora's well known for that as well, like on the pirate ship and stuff. But you can see the chair. Then they made a little vanity table here with multiple portraits and the flat metal table, tablet computer. This one is the heart-shaped or heart-themed side table, I think it is. And then they've topped it with a cushion. Now notice they pushed it down so you don't see the little red bits. Not sure why they chose to do that, because I think it would fit in here with the jewels and stuff that are on this as well, but they just opted to do that. But the pillow, I think, comes from the Valentine decor that they make available during that time of year. So, oh, did you? I probably couldn't guess what it might be. Again, for these little frames, it's the Hugel portrait just pushed in enough where you don't see that. This one, they actually let the Hugel be visible. Surprise, surprise. And then, of course, the fireplace. Notice there's no fire. Now, this could be one of the rooms where they, again, might have run out of decor count, so they just couldn't put in as many details as they wanted. But the fireplace is cute. It's made up of the heart-themed coffee tables. I call it the butterfly thing because I like to use it as a rug. I just sink it down so you just see the blue part. And it looks like a butterfly to me. I don't know why, but what I call it. But it's multiples of those, and then the sides are kind of filled in with the tablet computers, and then they dressed it up with the pillars. Yeah, I've got that one on my list, waiting for you to say that it's done. See, here they've got that table and they've got it showing, but I don't know why they decided to sink it down over here. I guess just to make it look a little different. Again, this is part of the Valentine set, the bed. Same way with some of the plushies I think we saw earlier. There's like, I think there's a Yeti that's kind of pink, and then there's one of those stem dragons that's got a pink look to it. Here again, they made this little day bed slash reading nook using the heart tables again. Okay, for this staircase, rather than matching what they had done down below, they've just opted to use the bars. It's this bar here, and they've just multiple them up and made this little stairway. It looks like they might have inset books as well to fill in the gap where the bar is cut out, this part here. Yeah, they wanted the design to make it look like a carpeted staircase again. Wow, this place just keeps going, doesn't it? Okay, a little indoor movie theater. It's exile floors or exile walls for the carpeting. And that hanging, the wall hanging with the dude on it that we've seen down below, extensively used as like the wallpaper. It's this here again. Just see the one part. The screen appears to be multiple travel posters as these, but we just see the back of the screen. Now, we've seen some people actually attempt to like make a little scene. I've done it myself. Usually it's like a meteor and something to make it look like a planet, and they got a plate to make it look like the rings of Saturn, and then they've got a spaceship, you know, so it's like a space scene. But I've seen a few that have done a little bit more different kinds of scenes, but you can think of it as like a painting that we've shown in the past where we do like little portraits and stuff. You can think of it like that. There's a little more leeway, I think, about the 3D-ishness of it. Um, More stuff sticking out further than keeping it all flat, but it's a good opportunity to play around with that kind of idea. You're looking to, we've done that with TV screens as well. I did like a little newscaster scene in one of mine, so a lot of things, a lot of possibilities. This one did go through the trouble of making a little projector. It looks to be like the red spotlight. That's where you get in the glow here, along with one of the exile like lamplight things. I think a lot of them use it for like runways for like aircraft and stuff. And then multiples of the garage themed lamps. The one that has the steering wheel on it. A lot of people like to use it for their cars and other kinds of vehicles that need steering wheels, big rigs and stuff like that. It's multiples of those to get the little whirligigs going. And then for the videotape or whatever, it looks to be sparking wires to make it look like it's strung up there with some hollow tubes, or I guess they're solid tubes for the ends. It's hard to get my camera to stay still when I'm trying to peek at it from up here. Again, we've seen different versions of those, but it's always fun. Again, it's something you could ask 10 people to make a camera or a projector like this, and you'll get 10 different versions. They may still use the same items, but it'll still come out different. Yeah, using the bars of stairs is a fun idea, and smart with the books inserting them. Because me, I'd probably like try to sandwich two of the, but it'd probably still leave a gap. Let's see. It looks like this last door is going to be the little balcony outside. Yeah, and the balcony, of course, is just 2x4s. The decking railing, and then of course the little hammocks. But what an awesome build. Lots of floors, lots of rooms. Again, I'm sure there's probably more detail they would love to add, but I suspect with just all of the detail that's already here, their decor count was eaten up very fast. You can tell kind of, or I get the impression that as they went further up into the house, they realized they had to, you know, become a little more scrimpy on what they put into the rooms, because these are like awesomely detailed with the furniture and the wall decorations and just the structure of the house. And then as you go up, it's a little less, a little less. It's still detailed, but you can tell it's probably not as detailed as they would really like. It's still my favorite room. My favorite room. The food. I think I'm addicted to the food areas. What it is. But yeah, so amazing space. Again, it's just a single plot. So imagine if this person had free reign over an entire community, just what all they could do with it would be incredible. But it goes to show that you don't have to join a community to have an awesome build. Or one that's, you know, interesting. It's not that we exclusively look for ones that have gone out as detailed as this one. I think we've tried to show with some of our tours that even with like a prefab home, uh, if a person can decorate it inside, interestingly enough, we'll still take a look at it, even if they didn't build a house. But it's always nice to see those that even if they get a prefab home, they actually like kind of rebuild it on the outside so it looks like something different. So yeah, again, it just depends on the person, the build, how much time they have, if they can come up with a good idea for it, and just the imagination. But yeah, I think this is like a summer spring cottage kind of thing, and you can tell. I mean, it's not like the same. There's like multiples, a multitude of different building materials, and one's not, often seen being used for the roofing and the walls and the greenery. Even just, it just amazes me every time we come to places like this. Always something new and interesting, and hopefully inspiring to those that are looking at it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. We will be back on Jabbit next week. Again, it will probably be an individual plot or maybe a couple plots, depending on how detailed they are. The more detailed, the chances are I'll blab about them a little more. Oops, I kind of sunk down into the green there. I'm trying to get a good good view of the front here. Difficult. There we go. That's probably about as all-encompassing as we can get for the main part of the cottage here. But yeah, some incredibly creative ideas. Again, even if you're not doing a full-on build like this, if you're just looking for something for a single room or a smaller build than this, or even a different theme, a lot of these things can work in multiple scenarios. So, the tables, maybe you're not wanting to do a personal residence, maybe you're looking for something different for your cafe or your diner or your library or office building or something. And this could be, those things can be used in any of those situations. So again, it's always fascinating to come and check out these builds. Again, even if you're not looking to make something exactly like it, uh, you can take and garner those little tidbits of ideas and manipulate them into your own themes and ideas. And I think that's the most fun part of this. So yeah, hope you guys had fun. Look forward to talking with you next time. In the meantime, good luck with whatever projects you're working on. Again, today and tomorrow is probably the last days you have to log into the game to get that Chromium Decor set. So if you haven't done it, be sure and do that. So, if you're taking like a summer vacation or something, just step in long enough to log in and get the decor and then log back out if that's what you need to do. Um, Next week, of course, like I said, is the jukebox thing, and I'm not sure what the other weeks are. I know there's the renovation event coming up. I think it's the third week of June, so be on the lookout for that. I don't remember which sets are out. I think it's the one that's the Osun and the Protostar and something else. I don't remember off the top of my head, but whatever, it's more decor. So, if you're decor hungry, that's the time to be sure and check out the weekend event. So yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate all of the support, the tweets, the retweets, the follows, the hosting. When you guys can do that, I appreciate it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.